January 2026, the Palos Verdes Peninsula, California. To the naked eye, what happened here looked like gravity taking its toll. A massive section of the coastline simply sheared off and vanished into the Pacific Ocean. The news cycles called it a landslide, a tragedy of erosion and bad weather. But they were wrong. A confidential investigative report has just surfaced, and it changes everything we thought we knew about the ground beneath our feet. This was not a standard collapse. Forensic analysis of the debris and deep seismic data suggests something far more terrifying. The report reveals that the geological models used to protect 8 million Californians are now obsolete. The land isn't just eroding from the wind and waves, it is failing from the bottom up. We are calling it the rotting edge. And according to the data, this disaster is only the beginning. Section 1. The warning. The Earth tried to warn us. Long before the cliff gave way, the ground signaled that something was wrong. But our automated systems, they missed it. It happened at 3:16 a.m. on a cold January morning. 3 separate seismic stations along the Southern California coast, stations CISBC, CIPLS, and CILCP, lit up with a bizarre anomaly. It wasn't an earthquake. The epicenter was plotted roughly 15 miles west of the peninsula, buried 13 kilometers deep. But the signal was wrong. Dr. Lena Ortiz, a senior analyst at Caltech, was the first to notice the waveform. It was low-frequency energy, peaking in the 0.2 to 0.5 hertz band. It was too slow, too rhythmic to be a tectonic fracture, and it lasted a full minute longer than background noise. This wasn't the snap of a fault line. It was a slow slip event. It suggested massive fluid movement deep within the crest. It was a warning that the very foundation of the continental shelf was destabilizing, miles below where anyone was looking. Section 2. The impossible mixture. When the dust settled, the forensic teams moved in. Dr. Sarah Kim led a team down the fresh scar of the cliff face, rappelling into the unknown to collect samples. What they brought back has baffled the scientific community. First, they found the history we chose to forget. Buried inside the cliff were abrupt, clean sheets of marine sand. These layers date back to the mid-Holocene era, roughly 5,000 years ago. They are packed with ocean microfossils sandwiched between layers of marsh peat. This is a fingerprint. It is proof of ancient tsunamis. It proves that this coastline has been violently reorganized by massive ocean surges in the past, a history of instability that modern city planners have largely ignored. But the second discovery was even more disturbing. It came from a specific soil sample labeled RPV00001. When Dr. Priya Deshmukh analyzed this sample under a scanning electron microscope, she found a chemical composition that simply should not exist on a coastal cliff. The sample was rich in manganese oxides, specifically vernadate, and iron oxyhydroxides. It contained trace elements of nickel, cobalt, and copper. For geologists, this is a smoking gun. This chemical profile is found in deep ocean mineral nodules. These minerals form over millions of years in the crushing darkness of the abyssal plains of the Pacific. So why were they found inside a surface landslide in California? The presence of these deep-sea minerals implies an unprecedented mixing of the seabed and the continental shelf. It suggests that deep Earth processes are actively pushing incompatible deep-sea materials upward. It means the cliff isn't just weathering, its internal integrity is rotting from the inside out. Section 3. The Ghost Foundation. While the chemists analyzed the soil, technicians on the ground deployed ground-penetrating radar, or GPR, to scan what was left of the cliff. They expected to see solid bedrock. What they found was nothing. Technician Marcus Bell reported that the radar pulses, which should have bounced off solid bedrock at a depth of 12 to 25 meters, instead vanished. The data screen showed massive shadow zones. Centered 18 meters below the surface and stretching 40 meters wide, the rock just loses coherence. These are not solid layers, they are voids. They are pockets of saturated rubble and destructured material. The implication is mechanical, and it is immediate. The multi-million-dollar homes perched above these cliffs are resting on a ghost foundation. The radar cannot even see the rock that is supposed to be holding them up. Section 4. The 300% error. The physical collapse of the cliff has triggered an intellectual collapse among the experts. For decades, evacuation zones, insurance premiums, and city planning were based on computer models. These models predicted slow, incremental retreat. The new data obliterates those models. Hazard planners had forecasted a loss of 2.1 meters due to recent winter storms. That was the worst-case scenario. The actual retreat, measured by satellite LiDAR and INSAR deformation maps, was 6.3 meters. The observed destruction exceeded the projections by 300%. This is not a margin of error. This is a fundamental failure of the science used to ensure public safety. As one analyst grimly noted, the coast is disappearing far faster than anyone planned for. This discrepancy is terrifying. It means infrastructure lines, water mains, and emergency routes that were thought to be safe for another 10 years are actually at immediate risk of failure today. Section 5. The human cost. The scientific uncertainty has now spilled over into a public safety emergency. Approximately 8 million people live within just 10 meters of this unstable coastal zone. Residents are already reporting the signs: cracks widening in driveways, doors that no longer close properly, the sound of the earth groaning at night. But there is a darker narrative emerging. A whistleblower has leaked a confidential memo, document ID 2204171, from a major coastal developer. The document reveals that soil reports containing critical risk assessments were redacted. They were withheld from public review as recently as 2 months prior to the collapse. Environmental groups have filed emergency petitions, arguing that developers knew the ground was unstable, but prioritized new construction over human life. The political fallout is chaotic. The region relies on a single coastal highway for evacuation. That road is now threatened by the accelerated erosion. If the road fails, thousands could be trapped. A coalition is demanding immediate evacuation orders for neighborhoods that were considered safe only yesterday. But the city is paralyzed. With the USGS admitting that every exposure map is provisional, officials have no valid data to use. They are flying blind. Conclusion. The collapse of the California coastline is no longer just a story about erosion. It is a convergence of ancient geological violence and modern human hubris. The evidence is undeniable: seismic heartbeats from the deep crust, misplaced deep-sea minerals found on the surface, massive voids where bedrock should be. The coastline is undergoing a systemic transformation. The comfortable assumption that the land changes slowly, over centuries, has been shattered. As the investigative report concludes, the rules are changing in real time. The residents of the coast are not just living on the edge of the continent, they are living on the edge of a new geological era, and the ground beneath their feet is moving much, much faster than the models designed to save them.